Aaron's doing a video for YouTube on YouTube.
What's up, everybody? Give it a minute for my couple of followers to come in to the chat, maybe. But if not, it's not going to stop me from my mission tonight. I hope that whoever joins, I hope whoever sees this, regardless of whether it's during this live or not, I hope all of you have a blessed day. I hope all of you are doing good. And if any of you are struggling, I hope that everything gets better and all of that. This is our buddy. This is my buddy Noya. This is my buddy. Anyway, tomorrow, well, on October 7th at 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, I will be a special guest. I've been asked by NASCA, NAASCA, to come on and do a live radio broadcast for them, with them, and tell my story about what I've been through in life with childhood sexual abuse, child abuse, being bullied, and all that. The name of the website and the phone number is pinned down in the chat or in the description of this video. You'll be able to call in. Hey, Darlene, what's up, sister? How are you tonight? You'll be able to call in and ask questions and take part of the show if you want. And oh, there's Warrior Nun. Hi, Warrior Nun. How are you? I'm good tonight, sister. And Warrior Nun says, sir, that's real good. So sorry for your trauma. Please don't take this rudely, Warrior Nun, because I don't mean it rudely whatsoever, but please don't apologize for my trauma. I know what you mean. I know you mean it positively, but you're not the one who abused me, so there's nothing for you to apologize for, sweetie. You know what I mean? But tomorrow at 6 p.m., thank you. Tomorrow at 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, I will be the special guest speaker on NASCA.org's national radio broadcast. And you'll be able to come in and take part, ask some questions if you want, or you can just plain and simply listen. I'll just be glad that you're there to support me and support the greater mission of what Get to Know is all about. And for anybody who watches this that hasn't watched the video before, I can have a very colorful tongue. I come with no filter. If I think you're a piece of shit, I'm going to tell you you're a piece of shit, whether you want to hear it or not. Get to Know's mission is to create awareness when it comes to pedophilia in this country and around the world. Get to Know is dedicated to making a change when it comes to childhood sexual abuse, child abuse, human trafficking, and all of it, all the way down from I want to make legal changes to the judicial system that will actually make a difference. When a person can get sentenced to 26 years for drug trafficking and a parasite right before them who's standing in court can get sentenced to 5 years fixed in prison for his fifth time being sentenced to prison for lewd and lascivious acts against a child under the age of 14, there's something wrong with this country. I'm a firm believer that pedophilia is a learned behavior, and if we don't do something about it now, it's going to become an accepted behavior, not just only in our country, but around the world. And Get2Know is dead set on not allowing that to happen. These things that go on that these parasites do is unspeakable, and the way that they get treated is even more unspeakable. Like I just said, when a person can, and I'm not condoning drug trafficking, I'm not at all, so don't take it that way. Yes, he broke the law, and yes, he should have to serve out his sentence, but it shouldn't be such a harsh sentence, especially when it comes to pedophilia and the abuse and taking of the innocence of children. To me, in my own personal opinion, that is a crime that is worse than murder. I mean, after all, every single time I was abused sexually by my abuser, he killed a part of me. He murdered a part of me every single time that he did what he did to me. So it seems fitting that punishment should meet the crime. The number of sexually abused children in this country raises every single day, and it's got to stop. It's got to stop. The only thing we can do about that is stand as one together, as one, and not ask for a change, but fucking demand a change. Demand a change. People have forgotten who actually run this country. It's not the congressmen, it's not senators, it's not governors, it's not the mayors, it's not that's not who runs our country. They are the ones that are supposed to uphold law and create safe places for us to live, not to run our country. We, the people of the United States of America, are the ones that run this country. It's time we take that back. How do we do that? By standing as one united front. Not just on pedophilia, but on every level. If we don't like how things are being ran in our city, we need to do something about it. The Declaration of Independence and our Bill of Rights literally says that if a time comes that our government, the ones we put in power, that it's the point in time comes that our government is no longer working for the greater good of the American citizens, that we not only have the right to stand up to them and overthrow them one by one or all at the same time, it's our duty to do so. When our government no longer works for us and does what we want them to do for us, and they take their own personal agendas at hand, that's a problem. We are supposed to stand up and dethrone them from their positions of power, and if necessary, to start all the way over. If we don't, we are committing treason against our country, against the citizens of our country. And what's the penalty for treason against America? Death. Death is the only penalty for treason against the United States of America. That's right, Darlene. Death. Death is the only way for punishment for treason. So these judges and these prosecuting attorneys, our governors, our senators, probably even up to the president, the ones that are in positions of power, make the penalties for crimes in our country, and they take pedophilia and crimes against children and put it below murder, below drug dealing, below drug abuse, pretty much below every other crime, felony crime in this country. And it should be the exact opposite. The National Sex Offender Registry is a great concept, but it's a failed program. If a person commits sexual abuse against a child when they're 25 years old and they have to be a registered sex offender for a certain period of time, then they no longer have to register. Does that no longer make, since they did 10 years on the sex offender registry, does that make them no longer a sexual offender? No, it don't. From the very first time that they touched the child or sexually abused anyone, they will forever be a sex offender. Therefore, they should be a registered sex offender for the rest of their life. If you look at it in a logical perspective, I was victimized as a child. I'm now in my 40s, and there's no special list that I get to put my name on that gets to take that title away from me of being a sexually abused child. I will, for the rest of my life, until the day I die, be a victim of sex abuse as a child. Nobody on this planet, not even God Himself, can take that away from me. So why should these perpetrators of these crimes get that title taken away from them? They shouldn't. Did you guys know that? Once a sex offender gets off of probation or parole, they only have to report 4 times a year. 3 of those times, all they got to do is send a letter back saying, "Yes, this is my address." 1 time a year, they got to go in and get their picture taken. Other than that, they're free to roam about our country, our streets, next to our children in our schools, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, with nobody to see over them. If you commit the most atrocious crime against a child or even an adult, you should have to be held responsible for that for the rest of your pathetic fucking life. Period. That's how I feel about it. Let me get in the chat here real quick. Darlene says, yes, when each person a pedophile hurts, basically destroys the life. Yes, it does. Every time my abuser touched me, he murdered a part of me that I'll never be able to get back. Darlene also says, the people supposed to run it, the other people we are paying to use our voice. Instead, they are silencing our voices. Yes, just like take the YouTube platform right here that I'm on right now. I will never be able to be monetized and make money off YouTube, and that's okay. That's okay. Because I use words such as pedophilia, pedophile, sexual abuse, words like that. They don't allow those words, so they're censoring it. So in my eye, how I look at it is, if you got a problem with something I'm saying or what I stand for and what I want to change, then you're either a pedophile yourself or you support pedophilia yourself. So you're a fucking scumbag, and I don't fucking care. But thanks for the video anyway. Know what I mean? Or should I say, trying to silence our voices? That's right, darling. Trying to silence our voices. Because I got a loud one, and I ain't fucking silencing it for nobody, regardless of what they say or feel about me. I don't matter. I got a greater purpose in this world. I got a certain goal that I'm after, and to be honest, it's probably a goal that I'll never fully accomplish. But I'll make a difference. I'll make a difference. They should not be able to move to another state. You said also how. Darlene says, heck, they should not be able to move to another state. You said you also how the pedophiles are living in all in an apartment building beside a middle school. Big problem and deal breaker. Yes, here in my town, here in my city that I live in Idaho, there is an apartment complex. It's only one story high, just one floor, but there's 10 on one side and 10 on the other side that run parallel to each other. And out of the 20 residents that are in this apartment complex, I believe that the last time I checked, 16 of them are registered sex offenders. And right next door is a middle school, and their front yard view is of the track and their PE area. Seems kind of convenient for me, if you know what I mean. Seems kind of weird to me, if you know what I mean. It just goes to show that these rules that they make for the National Sex Offender Registry, they're not being upheld. It's a joke. It's a fucking joke. I can't handle it. In Idaho, you are not to live within 500 feet to 1,000 feet. I don't remember off the top of my head exactly which one it is. It's either 500 or 1,000 feet from a school, a daycare, a facility that is based around children, any of that. But yet there's a chain link fence that you can see through that separates these 16 pedophiles from a whole school of boys and girls. Hmm. Seems kind of weird to me, if you ask me. Why do you think that is? Let me see, let me get your comments in the chat. Why do you think that is? Why do you think these people get? Why do you think these people, these parasites, get to be swept under the rug and forgotten about? And literally, they go to prison and they get special treatment. They don't have to worry about getting beat up by people. They don't have to worry about any of that stuff. They uh they they're the biggest parasites we have in this world, and yet they are some of the most overlooked pieces of shit that we have in this country. That's just my own opinion. I knew a police officer who were pedos too. Oh yes, Darlene. Yes. From the research from the personal research I've done over the last 2 years or more, the main people that are being caught and convicted of pedophilia, whether you believe it or not, and to your much to my surprise and to yours, I'm sure, they are people in positions of power like governors and senators and judges, prosecuting attorneys, police officers, sheriffs, people that we are people that we are taught from the time that we enter school all the way through the rest of our lives, people that we are taught that we are supposed to be able to look up to, people that we are supposed to be able to trust with anything we need, and people that are supposed to be in positions to keep us safe. Yet they are the biggest, what am I looking for? Biggest perpetrators of of these sex crimes against children and human trafficking. Judges, prosecuting attorneys, criminal defense attorneys, congressmen, governors, mayors, clergy, scout leaders. Most of them are pedophiles, and I guarantee you that. I fortunately was not a victim of sex abuse from my scout leaders when I was a child, when I was in Cub Scouts and in Boy Scouts. So I got lucky there, I guess. But I was dealing with a bunch of other shit at the same time. So one person's luck is another person's misfortune. Dory says that stinks, and they supposed to serve and protect, but serve and protect whom? Themselves and their fellow pedophilia, their fellow pedophiles. That's who they protect and serve. And if you think about it, all you got to do is do a little bit of research into it and see what kind of stories are out there about it, and you'll know that the biggest perpetrators of these crimes are people in positions of power and people we're taught at a very young age to trust and look up to, and people that we are supposed to be able to go to, and when we have trouble and we don't have anywhere else to turn to, they are the biggest perpetrators of these crimes. I guarantee you that. Oh, well, thank you, Darlene. Darlene says you are already making a difference. Thank you very much. Yes, Warrior Nun. Oh my God is right. And just the longer you're a member of Get to Know, the more and more numbers that I will throw out at you that will blow your mind. Do you know how many registered sex offenders there currently are on the National Sex Offender Registry? Warrior Nun, do you have an idea? Darlene says people that we're supposed to run to if someone tries to harm us. Instead, we are teaching kids to run into perps' hands. Exactly, exactly, Darlene. That's exactly what we're doing. We're hand feeding our children and our future to pedophiles. And Warrior Nun says no. There's almost 1 million registered sex offenders on the National Sex Offender Registry in the United States today. Almost 1 million. It's like 800, and it was the last time I looked. It was like 893,700 something like that. Registered sex offenders. How does that sit in your stomach, Warrior Nun? How about that number? That's huge. What's not on there? That's what's huge. That's what's huge. Is the number that's not on there. If there's almost 1 million registered sex offenders in the United States right now, there should be 10 times that amount. Yes, you heard me correctly. At least 10 times that amount. There should be at least 10 million registered sex offenders on the National Sex Offender Registry. You got to remember that they let people off on certain points in time, so they no longer have to register. But even though them registering and getting off the sex offender registry, it doesn't make them no longer a sex offender because they already are. They always will be. Um, Now, let's get into some real disgusting numbers here, okay? Warrior Nun. Now, if there's supposed to be, if there should be 10 million, 10 million registered sex offenders on the National Sex Offender Registry, how many victims do you think that comes out to be? Just 10 million victims? Just 10 million victims? And I'll kind of spoil a little bit here for you. Um, on average, the average adult male offender has no less than 9 victims in their lifetime. So if there's nine if there's 9 victims per person on the register, that's what, 90 million victims. That's probably wrong. I probably did my math wrong, but whatever. You get the point. Um, I read a story a couple months ago about a kid who was 14 and his stepmom had him arrested for molesting and raping his stepsister, who I believe was 7. And by the time it was all said and done, he admitted to having 37 separate victims, and he was only 14. Now, my abuser, he went to prison once for lewd and lascivious acts against a child under the age of 11, I believe. And he never seen a day in jail for what he did to me. And I guarantee you that not one time, not one punishment that he ever received, did he ever even contemplate stopping. I can guarantee you that he had more than 9 victims in his lifetime. I can guarantee you that this parasite is still alive today and he is still creating victims, still destroying children's lives, destroying children's lives one at a time. I remember when I was back in high school when the statistic came out on how many people, it was like 3 out of every 10 people were a victim of childhood sexual abuse. Well, about a month and a half, 2 months ago, I was having a conversation with one of my daughter's friends' moms and her daughter, and my wife and my daughter and I. And out of the 5 of us, my daughter, me, my wife, my daughter's friend, and my daughter's friend's mom, the 5 of us, 4 out of 5 of us were survivors of sexual abuse as a child. Seems like those statistics even are a lot more. Seems like somebody's out there doctoring the numbers of what the reality of it is. And why would somebody want to do this? Well, because yes, oh my God, warrior nun. Yeah, yeah. And it's becoming it's honestly, and this is just my opinion on this, but it's honestly becoming more and more accepted, more and more accepted. It's becoming an accepted behavior. Pretty soon, it'll be okay for a person to have sex with any person, regardless of their age, because it's a special kind of love. And who are you to tell me who I can and can't love? Who the fuck am I to tell you who you can and can't love? If they're under the age of 18, you can't fucking love them like that. No fucking way. You're a parasite, you're a piece of shit, and you should probably be executed. Desperate times call for drastic measures, and we are in a desperate time, and it's time for desperate, drastic measures. It's time for drastic measures. There's a country in the in the world, and I don't remember off the top of my head which one it is, but they just celebrated something like 34 years, 34 years of no DUIs in their country. Why is that? Well, because 34 years ago, they got together as a country and voted and passed it so where if you get pulled over and you blow for DUI as impaired, drinking and driving, they are to execute you on the spot. Judge, jury, executioner, right there. You blow hot, you receive an execution. You don't get to go to court, you don't go to trial. That's the end of it. Well, they just celebrated 34 years of not one DUI in their country. Why do you think that is? Hmm. Because people sat down and said, fuck, if I drink and get behind that wheel and get pulled over, my life will be ended. Hmm. Maybe we should adopt that into law. Maybe that should be the punishment for these kind of crimes is execution. You walk in these detectives walk into these parasites' homes and they have hundreds of tapes, VHS tapes of them that they have personally recorded of them shooting kids up with drugs and getting them so fucked up on drugs they're no longer coherent and abusing them, and they have their own little torture chamber, their own little sex dungeon. Yet they want to arrest them, take them to in front of a judge. And the two that this happened to in my city that got caught for this a couple years ago, they received 6 years in prison. And they had a couple hundred VHS tapes full of them sexually abusing children. They had hundreds upon hundreds of thousands of downloaded illicit pictures of children being sexually abused from the age of newborn to the age of 18. To me, that says I don't need a trial. I don't need a judge. Hand me the gun. I'll execute the motherfucker right there. And I'll sleep like a baby the following night. Straight up, I would. Knowing that I stopped these two people from ever victimizing a person again. A lot of RSOs have moved here from Alabama because Alabama has stricter RSO laws than Tennessee. Yes, yes, that's a problem here in Idaho. We have more registered sex offenders in Idaho from other states than we do have Idahoans that are registered sex offenders that are from Idaho. I believe I believe that the one major change that needs to be done is these kind of crimes need to be all federally mandated and carried out on the federal level. So if you commit this crime in Tennessee, then you're going to face the same penalties for committing that crime in Idaho as you would in Idaho. If you commit these crimes in Florida, then you would face the exact same punishment as you would in Oregon, which, by the way, Oregon is the number one highest rated state for sex offenders, registered sex offenders per capita in the United States. Get that one. Figure that one out. That's a crazy one for me. Yet my massive sexual abuse happened mainly in Alabama and Florida. Wow, that's coincidence that I mentioned both of those. I believe you. How can a toddler be sexually attractive? It's horrendous. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Here's one that I haven't really shared about myself. Hang on. Darlene says, I believe such as people like my siblings who are waiting to defend the sex offenders should be prosecuted as well since they are enabling. I agree. I agree, Darlene. I agree. Fully, I agree. Um, so, with me, I didn't tell my parents about my sexual abuse until I was 16, going on 17. And it wasn't for another couple years after that that I decided to confront my abuser. And when I did, I was scared as hell. I had butterflies in my stomach and every other kind of feeling you could possibly think of. And I found his number. I got his number from an aunt of mine because some of my family members had at the time still had contact with him. And unfortunately, some of my family members still have contact with this person after the fact. And I asked him, why did you do the things you did to me? And after about 45 minutes of him denying, he finally gave me an answer. And as fucked up as his answer was, it worked for me because that showed me that he acknowledged that he abused me. And his answer, plain and simply, was, I never did anything to you that you didn't want me to do. Now, I might be crazy, I might be stupid, I might be ugly, but I'm telling you right now, I don't know what kind of sexual favors a 5-year-old child is asking a 30-year-old man for. I don't believe any 5-year-old child would ask any person any kind of sexual favors whatsoever. So, but it worked for me. It worked for me because he took some kind of responsibility and acknowledged that he abused me. So it worked for me. So that was kind of tied into um, the whole enabling thing, aiding and abetting, you know, and mainly Warrior Nun says, "How can a toddler be sexually attractive? It's horrendous." That's kind of why I brought that out. I mean, because she said that right there. How? How can how can a child be sexually attracted to anybody? Anybody that is sexually attractive to a child, execution. Fucking kill him. I don't care. I'll do it. I'll do it. And I'll sleep like a fucking baby at night. I don't care. I'll do it. Gladly. One after another after another. It only costs 40 cents for a bullet. How much does a trial cost for a pedophile? It's just gonna get a fucking slap on the fucking hand. Uh-uh. Your tax dollars, my tax dollars, all Americans' tax dollars going to pay for these pedophiles to get a trial that they're just gonna get a slap on the wrist for. They're gonna get out and fucking do it again anyway. It's wrong. This shit needs to be addressed. And that's what the mission of Get to Know is about. They always say that. Yep, they always say that crap. Whatever they got to do to take the focus off of them and their problem and their parasitical garbage that they are about. Whatever they can do to take the focus off them and make themselves feel better about themselves, they're going to do it. It's disgusting. Right? Sex trafficked me from age 2, but dad himself did things when I was an infant, according to an older sis. Yes. Dardine J. Clark, she's my sister from another Mista. We have no blood relation, but I look at her like she's my sister. And her story is horrendous, disgusting. I can't believe that she survived some of the stuff she went through. I look up to her like a big sister, man. I love Darlene with all my heart, man. Actually, real quick, Darlene and Warrior Nun. Did I already ask you? Maybe I already asked Warrior Nun, but maybe I didn't. Um, Darlene and Warrior Nun, would you guys like to be moderators for my channel? Because I'd love to make you guys moderators for my channel. Darlene says, "Make it seem like it was your fault, or you wanted it. It or sickos blame a kid." Yep, that's right. They do. Love you too, sister. Love you too, sister. Warrior Nun says, "Sir, you were 5. I'm sorry, but I don't think a 5-year-old is sexual." You're right. You're right. You're right. I mean, like I said, I don't know what kind of sexual fucking favors a 5-year-old child is asking any human being, let alone a 30-year-old man. What kind of sexual pleasures can I give you today, sir? You know what I mean? It's just, but it worked for me because he took acceptance of what he did to me. So, I mean, it worked, but it might not work for some people, but that's what I needed to hear, I guess, Get some kind of acceptance. So, okay, Darlene, I will make you a moderator. What about you, Warrior Nun? Would you like to be a moderator for my channel? I mean, it's really busy being a moderator for my channel. As you can see, you're the only 2 in my chat. So, okay, there you go, Darlene. There's your branch, girl. He admitted he did it, but still tried to blame you. Yeah, you're right. You're right. You're right. He did still try to blame me, but he admitted to fucking around with me, so that's what I needed at the time. And now I need more than that. And I'm going after every goddamn pedophile there is. I didn't mean to say that. I'm going after every damn pedophile there is. Legally. And it's time we stand up as one and protect our children. And protect our children. Darlene and I can wrench each other. Yeah. Yeah. Got somebody in here that doesn't want to show that doesn't want to jump up here on chat. I wonder who that could be. I got my suspicions, but that's okay. I'm glad. Thank you for the view. Thank you for the view. All right. Again, tomorrow at 6 o'clock Mountain Standard Time, I will be doing a live radio broadcast on naascas.org national radio broadcast as a special guest speaker. Come and join. Come be a part of it. With every one person we gain and every person that I get to follow me, the stronger Get to Know gets, the more of a difference we can make. Until every child is safe, one child is one too many. Thank you for joining. Tune in next time. Get to know, like, subscribe, hit the bell, get notifications, become a member of Get to Know, and become a member of a channel that is actually about making a positive change in this world. Thank you for being here. Have a good night, everybody. Okay, darling, I'll come and next time you go live, I'll be there and you can make me a moderator. Oh, that person left. Yep, they sure did, didn't they? I wonder who that could have been. Was it my stalker? Woohoo! Here's my stalker. Thanks for the view, bud. Thanks for the view, bud. Glad to have you here. Good night, everybody. Peace and love. One child is one too many, and until every child is safe, let's continue on our mission.
One child. Yes. Somebody give us rap.